Hey everybody, before we get started with the episode, I just want to preface that this isn't a normal Young Minds podcast episode in really any aspect, except for the fact that it is a testimony. It's a testimony of not just one person or one event or anything like that. It's a testimony of multiple people, of survivors, that survived a tragedy known as 9/11, which happened 22 years ago today. And I actually tried to record this episode before, but I was not happy with it, and because I knew I couldn't explain it like a survivor could, because I wasn't alive then. I didn't have the experiences, of running out of the building or, the phone calls, whatever. So I knew that I had to do something different. That's exactly what I've done here, is I've compiled a bunch of clips from a docuseries on Disney Plus, and also from, it's also from National Geographic. It's called a 9/11 One Day in America. You can watch it on Disney Plus or probably other places as well. But I just thought it was really, really interesting, and it made me do a double take on this episode. I was like, I got to change it or do something, and I wasn't really happy with it in the beginning, but this gave me an opening. And so for people who don't know what 9/11 is, though, it's a tragedy that happened 22 years ago today, where two planes crashed into the World Trade Center in New York. One crashed into the Pentagon, and one crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, because of the heroic acts of Todd Morgan Beamer and the rest of Flight 93's passengers. It's crazy to me that people don't know what it is, and they want to forget it. So that's why I'm doing this episode, is that we don't want to forget the sacrifices that all these heroes made to help others. And I just thank you so much to all those first responders, if you're listening out there, that served during that time. Thank you so much for all that you did and all that you do now. I know it's a hard time in today's time as well. And last thing I want to say before we get started is, I tried to cut most of it out, but if there's any cursing or anything like that, sorry. I just couldn't, it was hard to cut some of it, but I just thank you so much for listening, and I hope you get something out of it, and never forget.
AP Network News, good morning, I'm Ross Simpson. Air Jordan is apparently ready for takeoff. Former NBA superstar Michael Jordan is on his way back to the NBA. President Bush is going to get an earful from Republican members of Congress when he hosts the annual congressional barbecue tonight at the White House. The president visits a school today to tout his education proposals before heading back to Washington. Laura Bush travels to Capitol Hill.
I woke up at 6 o'clock to the ringing of a phone. The meeting that I was supposed to attend was moved from the Marriott Midtown to the Marriott at World Trade.
Watch your step, please. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Watch your step, please.
This meeting was very important. And I shared a lot of the details with Ruth, my sister. And she said, Ron, stand out. And I said, look, I have a new suit and a nice bright yellow tie. And Ruth thought that was perfect for this meeting. And taking the ferry across in the morning, walking through where the boats are, there was a man with a glass of champagne, cheering people. And he passed a comment that I had a good suit on. He said, that's a good suit. So I felt very confident that things look good, not a cloud in the sky. Let's get this meeting over with.
I worked at the hotel that was between the two towers. and I was a production chef. The Greenhouse restaurant at the back of the hotel was all glass, so when you look up, you had the two towers going up. And when you look out, you had the courtyard. The first time I saw him, I was going there for an interview. It was like love at first sight. They're massive. And they go literally into the sky.
It was for the tip of Manhattan. I'm the first one in my family to be a firefighter. My father was a letter carrier in the post office. And after I became a firefighter, a number of years later, my brother joined the fire department too. Kevin was 3 years younger than me, so it was always this looking up to the older brother, sibling. I'm following in your footsteps, and every now and then I'll do you.
Hello? Yes, hello? What is your name? Okay, my name is Betty Ong. I'm number 3 on flight 11.
Okay.
There's somebody staffed in business class, and we can't breathe in business class. Somebody's got mace or something.
Someone is what in business class?
I'm sitting in the back. Somebody's coming back from business. If you can hold on for 1 second. Anyone know who's being staffed who, you know? I don't know, but here it is. They got staffed. Okay. Our number 1 got staffed. Nobody knows who staffed who, and our 5 has been staffed. Can anybody get up to the cockpit? Can anybody get up to the cockpit? I think the guys are up there.
When I got to the Marriott, I was early. I mounted the steps that led up to the hotel. People were generally just fussing about, walking about, and just preparing for their day. First thing I wanted to do was go to the bathroom, check my hair, check my tie, make sure I look good for this meeting. So when I came back out, still had time to spare, I walked around the lobby of World Trade Center, always in awe of the Tree of Life windows. And then I walked back and sat down in the hotel lobby.
I go into work. It was already open for breakfast. A very, very busy day because we had like 2 parties that day.
Hey, we got a peppermill, please.
So I cooked all the pasta and the sauces for the banquet parties. And I was stacking it. I'm in the walk-in refrigerator. Doors closed. I guess it's like a sealant. Like you really can't hear what's going on outside. There could be people right outside the refrigerator talking. I can't hear a thing.
doing? It's the fire department.
Hi. I'm on the 100th floor of the World Trade Center with 30 people in the northeast corner. It's hard to talk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smoke.
Right.
There's heat. We're all overreacting. Please come right now.
All right, no problem. We'll get to you.
Please, immediately.
They're on the way.
Bye.
I couldn't figure out what was happening. And I saw this woman coming through the haze with her hands out. And I just couldn't figure out for the life of me, like, what was wrong with her. And as I went closer to her and as she walked to me, I could see she was badly burnt. And I could see that she was still smoldering. So I brought her into the lobby and I sat her down by the wall. She said she couldn't see and that there was a ball of flame. And her eyes were like pretty much burnt shut. So after a minute or two, after I could get her calmed down a little bit, I asked her name. Said her name was Jenny Ann Maffeo. And she said she was on her way to work. And then she said, "Holy Jesus, Mother of God, don't let me die." She said, "Help me. Don't let me die, help me."
Chief! Elevators. What do you got running? Nothing is running. You find out, see if you get any freight, anything going up? Should be something.
And as firefighters came in, they came in quietly. There's noise from the equipment we carry, but they didn't say a lot. They were thinking about what lied ahead. And they thought about how they would handle it. And I could remember one lieutenant coming up to me, lieutenant from Engine 33, not saying a word. And we looked at each other, wondering if each of us was going to be okay. And then I told that lieutenant, as I told many other officers that came in, I said, take your firefighters, go upstairs. As you go up, evacuate the building, and then go up to the 70th floor where you'll regroup so we could rescue those that are trapped. The lieutenant turned around, took his firefighters, and as he turned around and started to go upstairs, that was the last time I saw my brother, Kevin.
United 175, recycle your transponder, squawk code of 1470. United 175, New York. United 175, do you read New York? Delta 1489, do you read New York? Zone 1489, go ahead. Okay, just wanted to make sure you read New York. Hello? Do you see that United 175 anywhere? And do me a favor, you see that target there, the 33-5 climbing? Don't know who he is. We have a hijack. We have some problems over here right now.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I can't get a hold of the United 175 at all right now. And I don't know where he went to.
All right. Okay, I'll see if I have one.
All right. United 175, New York.
I'm in the walk-in refrigerator for a good 15 minutes. The door is closed. And when I come out of the refrigerator, there's nobody there. There's no kitchen staff, there's no waiters, there's just nobody there. And I'm like, where's everybody at? Where's everybody at? I look into the chef's office and I notice the ceiling is cracked. There's a crack in the wall, a little bit of water coming down. And then a guest comes in from the restaurant and I go to tell him, like, you can't be here. You gotta go back out. But I already noticed he had a crazed look in his eye. And then he's like, just go look. Just go look. As I'm pushing the door open, there's something caught in the door. I'm looking at it thinking it's a dead animal. So I'm like, what is this, what is this dead animal doing here? And I look closely, and it's an arm. A friend of mine, I don't even know where he came from. He's like, did you see that, Kevin? Did you see that? And it's like, yeah, I saw that. So now we're trying to figure out how to get out. He was saying, and probably correctly so, never get on the elevator. And I remember thinking to myself, it's only 2 stories. I would be downstairs before you know it. And I remember pressing a button thinking to myself, if the door opens up, I'm getting on it. I pressed the button, the door opens up, I look at it, Abdullah said, come on, you coming, you coming? And he says no, and he goes all the way. And I get on the elevator, and he never made it out.
It's not a good morning in New York City. A major disaster, a plane crash into the World Trade Center. We're on the line with 10th Headwinds account executive Joan Fleischer, a witness to this terrible unfolding scene. Joan, could you maybe just recap for those just joining us what happened?
When I was on the floor with Jenny Ann, I held her hand and I yelled, numerous times for EMS, for emergency services, for help. Nobody was coming. People were just running by one after another. And I got concerned. So I ran into the bathroom, pulled a clean plastic bag, and I filled it with water and patted Jenny Ann down with it. And I could see that Jenny Ann's clothes were fused into her skin. While we were on the floor, and when there was no emergency services help or aid coming, Jenny Ann was getting more and more concerned that she was going to die. She said, "Sacred Heart of Jesus, save me. I don't want to die." And I said, "Are you Catholic?" She said she was. So I said to her, let's say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
His vantage point on 14th Street, and again, we're talking about a plane crash into the World Trade Center. Kai, what did you see and what can you see now?
Well, I saw the plane come overhead. I happened to be looking south towards the World Trade Center. There's now another explosion occurring right at this moment in the other building.
What you're seeing is both towers of the World Trade Center on fire. A second plane the size of a passenger jet flying into the second tower of the World Trade Center. And this is a horrible tragedy unfolding in New York City on this, what was a bright sunny morning. Joan, obviously the situation has been growing worse as you've been watching it. How much worse does it appear to be than initially?
Go upstairs in the North Tower for search and rescue. And one of the firemen from Rescue 1 looked up, he said, "We may not live through today." And we stopped, and we thought about what he said. So you're right, we may not. And we stopped and we took the time to shake each other's hands and wish each other good luck. And it's great knowing you. And hope I see you later. And of all those guys I was surrounded by, I'm the only one that's alive. They all died.
And I look up, and there were hundreds of people hanging onto the building. That's one of the things that sticks with me every day. I can't imagine being in those people's shoes, having to make the choice of either burning to death or I mean, jumping and knowing you're dying. Horrible. That's absolutely horrible. Poor people.
When we heard the crashing sound, it was something that we never heard before. But we knew exactly what it was every time it happened. Another life being lost.
Mom, it's Steven. My building got hit by a plane, and right now it's, I think I'm okay, I'm safe now, but it's Smokey. I just want to say how much I love you. And I will call you when I'm safe. Okay, Mom? Bye.
Hon, I love you. I don't know what's going on. Tell the kids. Save this message your whole life. I love you. I don't know what's going on here. Bye.
I just want to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and he just wanted you to know that I love you always.
Casualties at this time, looking at the scene, the gaping holes in both towers, the smoke and the flames, it is reasonable to assume that there has been massive loss of life in New York City this morning. Again, this makes the World Trade Center bombing of about 9 years ago look like a relatively minor incident.
After the second plane hit, a rumble came through the lobby. I can remember standing up in shock, wondering, what the hell is that? I knelt down beside Jenny Ann again, and I said to her, you know, we should try and get out of here if we can. Around the same time, pieces of ceiling were falling. The vapor was getting thicker. You know, you could see a haze, a gray haze, with the kerosene smell was developing more, and people were just panicking and running. And somebody said help was on the way, but we had to walk for the help. That help was on the opposite side of the highway. And as I entered the street, a fireman approached me with a white helmet. Always remember him, and he just said, Jesus, he said, for fuck's sake, get out of here as fast as you can, run. And so I asked Jenny Ann if she could run, and she said she could. And so our group ran across the West Side Highway. All I knew was I'd been through something horrific, and all I wanted to do was just go home, have a shower, go back to life. And it was probably 20 minutes when the phone rang, and it was my sister's husband, David McCourt. David asked me if I knew where Ruth was. Ruth was a little bit over a year and a half younger than me. We were very close. Juliana was Ruth's daughter, the most loveliest child you could imagine. And David caught me by surprise. I'm like, David, like, why don't you know where she is? And he said, Ron. They were going to California. They were on the plane that left Boston. United 175. I think I got down on my knees and I cried. I couldn't believe like that, you know. I was literally saying the Lord's Prayer with this woman on the ground of World Trade Center. You know, when my sister's plane hit. The most special people were killed. This was my world, never to be the same again.
We stood right in front of the elevator. Delisa and I and 18 other people from my office. These are all big shots. The head of human resources, the general manager, all these big shots, they're standing up right there. Not a word is said. The elevator door was open. We got in. As I'm getting out of the door, the security guard looks at me and says, where are you going? I said, I'm going home. I saw fireballs falling from the other building. He said, your building is safe, it's secure. Go back to your office. You can hear the whoop-whoop signals. Your building is safe, it's secure. Go back to your office. Nobody else is coming out. Delise stepped out, and she said, Stan, I'm scared. I want to go home. I said, well, go. Take the rest of the day off. I had that choice to go back in that elevator at that point or go home, so I don't know what to do. The doors are about to close, and Jack Andriacchio is holding on to one end, and Manny Gomez is holding on to the other end. Come on, Stan the man. You're not scared to go back up. Come on, Stan, we don't have all day here. And I walked back in that elevator, not realizing I would never see them again.
Hey, can you look out your window right now? Can you see God about 4,000 feet, about 5 east of the airport right now?
Yeah, I see him.
Is he descending for the building also?
He's descending really quick too, yeah. 2,500 feet now. He just dropped 800 feet in like one sweep.
That's another situation.
When the plane hit, I got blown out of my shoes, and I hit the marble wall in front of me with my upper body. And then my strong will or my abstinence kicked in. I'm like, oh, no way. I am not orphaning my kids in this building. I am getting out of here. We got into the stairwells, and we stumbled across this gentleman who had artificial legs, and he sat down and said, I can't go anymore. The two men just said, no way, not on our watch, and they picked him up and they just started carrying him down. I encountered a woman on the stairwell who was having an asthma attack, and in my pocketbook, I had an inhaler, and I handed it to her. I said, here, just use it. And she was using it, and she said, oh my God, I can breathe, and she started down. So you just did, everybody was just doing what they needed to do to help. It was a constant, very quick flow, but people were kind to each other.
Upon impact, a large chunk of that plane was stuck in the office doorway. The air pressure was so great, it was sucking everything out. It looks like a demolition crew came and just ripped the entire floor apart. Every wall is flattened. Every piece of furniture is mangled. I'm hiding on that desk. It looks like somebody took a giant bag of cement and threw it in the air. The jet fuel is smelling so profusely. The sound was so deafening that my ears popped. I got temporarily deaf. All the cables that were hanging in the ceiling dropped, and they're short-circuiting. The sprinkler system came on, and part of the floor collapsed, and it's hovering like this, right over the desk. If I don't get burned, well, then I'll get electrocuted. If I don't get electrocuted and burned, well, then the floor is gonna collapse. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get crushed. And if the three of them miss me, well, then I'm gonna get sucked up by the air pressure. One way or the other, I'm gone. And I started to scream.
I came out on the 44th floor because that's where our stairwell ends. And there was panic and bedlam, and it was pitch black. And then all of a sudden, in this darkness, is this voice. He was singing, and I think the singing distracted everybody, that they stopped in their tracks to see why he was singing or where he was singing from, and it calmed everybody down. And then he said these words. He said, "Today is a proud day to be an American." It was Rick Riscola, our head of security. Rick was so concerned for many years about the security and safety of everybody in the World Trade Center. It had been attacked before, and he was certain it would happen again. He did predict that they would come, if they came again, that they would come from the air. And it's very hard to protect people when they come from the air. So the only protection would be to teach them how to get out in case a catastrophe happened.
I crawled the entire length of the loans department to the lounge, in the computer room, in the communication room. And that's the farthest I could have gone, because one lousy sheetrock wall stood firm. It's one wall. That period of waiting was the most painful thing you would ever imagine. That period of just waiting, hoping that somebody is going to come to get you. And I'm crying out to this invisible God that I've hurt so much.
From the 84th floor, I led a group of people down the stairs, and we arrived on the 81st floor, me in the lead. As I arrived there, a heavy-set woman came up and stopped me. "We've just come off a floor in flames and smoke, and we've got to go higher." And of course, I'm stopped now and can't get past her, and bump, bump, bump in behind me comes the rest of my team, if you like. So now there's this group of us, 9, 10 people on the 81st floor landing, who are now beginning the debate, listening to her and starting to discuss, well, do we go up? Do we go down? What do we do now?
I'm behind of a wall, and I'm crying out, "Wait for me, don't leave me to die."
What I heard was something like, "Help, help, I'm buried, is anyone there? I can't breathe." Kind of again sobered up and said, okay, I've got a job to do here, and my flashlight back on again. And as I squeezed onto that floor sideways, I have this very, very clear memory of everybody on that landing turning around and starting to go up the stairs. So I started toward the stranger's voice.
I can only hear that voice faintly. I had my hand through that hole, and I'm trying, "Please, please, my hand is here. Turn to your left." As I hear a little bit, his voice is walking away. His voice is moving away from me. No, come back, towards your right. Come back, towards your left. Come straight now. As I can hear this voice closer, sharper. Look down. Here I am, with my hand, waving towards him. When that light flashed in my hand, all hope was there. Somebody, this person with his flashlight, whoever it is, somebody's gonna rescue me. I'm gonna live. It was that hope. That feeling of knowing that, you know what, I'm gonna live. That feeling of knowing that you're gonna live, that somebody is here to take you home. I'm gonna get to see my children again. I'm gonna be reconciled with my wife again. I'm gonna live. They left me here to die, but I'm gonna go home. And this man really had all hope was there. Somebody, this person with his flashlight, whoever it is, somebody's gonna rescue me. I'm gonna live. It was that hope. That feeling of knowing that, you know what, I'm gonna live. That feeling of knowing that you're gonna live, that somebody is here to take you home. I'm gonna get to see my children again. I'm gonna be reconciled with my wife again. I'm gonna live. They left me here to die, but I'm gonna go home. And this man really did that. Rescued me so I could go home.
hallelujah, I've been saved, he said. One thing I got to know, do you know Jesus Christ? That was a very strange thing to hear at that time, and I wasn't ready for a philosophical discussion, so I stammered out a rather pathetic reply. I go to church every Sunday. That was the best I could do to that question. And come on, we got work to do here. So there was a lot of debris to the right, and debris to the left of me, and this immovable wall between us. And I told him that the only way out of there is for you to come up this wall. So he tried once, and I missed him. I said, you must do this. And over the wall he came, and then his weight on me pushed the desk over. We fell back onto a pile of debris, and he gave me a big kiss.
And he got up and he says, well, what are you doing? He fixed his jacket and his tie. And he stretched his hand, he says, Brian Clark. I said, Stanley Premdan.
He said, I'm Stanley. He said, we'll be brothers for life. And I said, well, I have no siblings. I said, we can be brothers. And then I noticed I had a puncture wound on my right palm. And Stanley also had a puncture wound on his palm. And I'm the one who did it. I put our hands together and said, we'll be blood brothers for life. And we made our way off the floor back to the 81st floor landing. I shone the light down, and I took that. I didn't see flames. I saw some smoke coming up. And I gratefully took that fateful first step down, and we continued on down.
Mounted Rick on one of the lower floors as they were leaving the building. Rick was heading up the stairs. And they said, Rick, come with us. And he's like, no, I have to do one more sweep to make sure all our people are safe. He could have gotten out, but he chose to go back up. Well, I knew that Rick was doing what Rick was destined to do, and that was get everybody out of that building. And knowing Rick, you knew he wasn't leaving until that last person was out.
The ash filled the air and blocked the sun. And very strangely, as we went down Broadway, and it wasn't densely populated, all of a sudden Stanley was gone. I'm looking around, wondering where he is, and this feeling washed over me like, whoa, did I just imagine this? Was Stanley some sort of a guardian angel? Like, I had real confused doubts about what had just transpired. I learned later from Stanley that he had commandeered a guy in a pickup truck and told him, you drive me to Brooklyn. Apparently the guy did.
I asked the people that I'm bringing through, do you notice anything similar with them? They'll look at them. Some people get it, some don't. And they'll say they're smiling.
Ruth Clifford McCourt and her daughter Juliana Valentine McCourt, Jenny Ann Maffeo,
Andy Fredericks, Oriole Palmer, Billy McGinn,
Tommy Swift, Steve Strauss, Lindsay Harkness, Rick Rascola.
With Mark Schwartz, Carlos Lilo, James Papa George,
Kevin Cleary, Stephen Chucknick, Jose Marrero,
and part of our job here is to show you this is how these people lived. They were just everyday people. They got up, they went to work, feed their kids, put clothes on their back, get them through school, make their life good.
Antoinette Sherman.
Mark Bingham.
Joe Hunter. Richie Allen. David Mark Sullins.
Tommy Langone.
John Bergen.
Detective Joseph Vigiano.
Lieutenant Greg Atlas.
Dominic Pizzulo.
Abdul Malahi.
Don DeFranco. Manny Gomez.
Leroy Homer.
My brother, Lieutenant Kevin Pfeiffer.
Father Michael Judd. My best friend.
Your memory shouldn't be your name on a wall somewhere. That's not you. You are the person in that photo album. You're the smiling person living your life. That's how you want people to remember you.
Vinnie Dance.
Walter Weaver.
Lieutenant Stephen Harrell.
Tanya Skinner.
Tom Burnett.
Dan Bergstein.
Ronald Clofa.
Not Curtis Brown II.
Carmen Alicia Rivera.
Jack Punches.
Pat Holly.
Bobby Call.
Vernon Richards.
Jack Andrea.
Kathy Robinson.
William Johnson. Stephen Driscoll.